Hi, this is Brenda Thompson with Just Show Up, and we're so glad that you all are watching today. This is the show where we talk to real estate agents about their journey, about problems that they've encountered, maybe solutions they've come up with or are still looking for. And today we have with us Rebecca Valera, and I'm so glad you could join us today on Just Show Up. Hi,
Yeah.
Rebecca.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. How long have you been in real estate? What was your journey to get here?
Right. So about 10 years ago, which is kind of wild that it's already been that long. So when I was pregnant with baby number 4. I wasn't teaching before, so I was a school teacher, primarily like upper elementary age level kids. Was really enjoying that. However, once we started our family and baby number 4 hit, I was like, okay, this is not going to work with this type of job. It was just really hard to separate, not really separate, but just have like taking care of my kids and that responsibility, and then also taking care of the kids at school. It was a big juggle and a challenge. And I was like, if I could just find something to where I could help people, because I mean that's kind of the heart of teaching, of education, is just to be able to help students learn and to kind of help them reach their fullest potential that they can. So kind of coming from that background, I was like, we had just moved. So we had just sold our house, and then we bought another one. Um on the other side of town for my husband's work. And I was just like, you know what? I think I can do something like this. I think that, and then I started, going down the rabbit hole of like, let's just watch some HGTV. Let's just, oh, yeah, I can do that. But then, obviously the reality hit the fan when you start studying for the exam, you start looking at all the legal documents, and I'm like, whoa, like this is not what I thought it was.
Mhm.
And then even a step further, when I actually passed the exam, and then, got, licensed officially and jumped into, Williams McKinney, because that was where the agent was that had helped us buy and sell.
Okay.
And she's kind of
Mhm.
acting as a mentor as well, kind of not, like what's the right word for it? Just like a non-announced mentor,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? So she was kind of, you know, quietly,
In the background,
in the
mentorship,
background.
yes.
I was like, I can't really dedicate, full time to this. I've got, small children at home, all of this stuff. Maybe I could do something for you. What can I do for you? I was always, of that mindset of, helping people, right? And I was like, this would be a good opportunity, and I could kind of learn part of the business, and I could be kind of her buyer's agent when she needed me. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of the path that I took for a while. Unfortunately, her health kind of declined, and she was trying to take on less business, and I was starting to ramp up and get more business
Okay.
and help the team out in that way. So not only was she was giving me a couple of things here and there, which is fine. And she would always mentor me, and more heavily because I was a part of her team at that point. But she was very, very knowledgeable, had an engineering background. I love that about her. Very meticulous, very detailed. So I kind of attribute, I guess, some of the things that I learned from her and carrying that on into my personal business. So we had to split in the sense that she was trying to ramp things down and I was ramping things up. And I didn't want to
Uh-huh.
confine myself to a schedule, because all the other teams were like, you got to be here 8 to 5 and all. I'm like, I can't commit to that type of schedule. I have children at home. I need that flexibility. That's why I wanted to get into real estate. One of the reasons that many of us want to get into real estate, that you're your own boss, you get your own hours, that type of thing. And then from there, it just kind of grew into this. It was really hard to,
Speaking of that family.
yeah, we have a special guest.
Hi, Gabriel.
We call him Gabby or Gabby. I don't know. Anyway, so I guess the other thing I think that was a lot of people don't understand when they first get into real estate too, that I picked up on, was that it can be very salesy. It can be very hard to turn that switch off at times, and to
Yes.
not be thinking in the back of your mind of, I wonder if I could, get this person as my client. I think that's something that's not really talked about a lot in our industry. I think we're probably all thinking it, but it's not something that's just like really talked about a lot. And I think just trying to, now that I've been in the business for a while, trying to turn that switch off and not worry about that so much has gotten
Uh-huh.
easier, I think. And it also, depends on what era and phase in your business you're in, what you're trying to figure out. How are you trying to lead generate in a way that's exciting to you? I think
Mhm.
that's also where real estate agents struggle is, well, comparison is another way that real estate agents struggle. You compare yourself to other people. I mean, it's good
Sure.
to aspire, right? But
Mhm.
it's a whole nother thing to start comparing, and it can really bring you down.
So, is there any advice that you would give to a new agent that you maybe learned along the way that kinda helps with that?
I think, and this is kind of going back to, now I remembered what it was. So with lead generation, thinking of it, there's so many different ways that you can generate leads, quote unquote. But
Absolutely.
I think that picking one, when you first get started, I would say maybe try 3 or 4, try a handful of things and see which ones you like the most, and
Mhm.
then stick with and just try to excel and be the best at that one or that 2 thing, right? I
Uh-huh.
think us as agents try to do too many things, and it can really burn you out. I mean, there's one year I did open houses on a high level, and I was going every single weekend, sometimes during the week, for sure Saturday, Sunday, sometimes for extended periods of time. And that can take a toll on your family if you have a family, as to how long you're away from everyone or
Mhm.
away from your spouse, or if you wanted to travel, like that's kind of,
Mhm.
if we're really dedicated to open houses, we kind of have to be available.
It is, and it's something that I have spoken about on a previous podcast even. For new agents, I do think it's great to be able to try different things because you don't know what will click with you and what you will like doing and
Right.
what brings you success until you try out several things.
Right.
And yet, we're immediately bombarded with here's the 100 things you should do to build
Yeah.
your business, but then you have to start quickly narrowing it down and going, gosh, I really enjoy doing this activity. I need to
Right.
make sure I do more of that. What can I do to be better at that?
Right, and I think that that's just something that you don't realize when you first get into the business that this is what you're gonna be doing. And also too, like you the point that you made of just making sure that you enjoy it, because at the end of the day, yes, our goal is to make money to support our family, right? Those types of things, and that's important too. So I'm not, taking a dig at that. But at the same time, the more that you enjoy it, the better you're gonna be at it, the more
Yes.
excited you are to do it. So
Yes.
it really does go, that enthusiasm takes you a long way, because it's a hard journey. I mean, it really is, to trying to figure some of that out. And not only that, but just even, doing the basic things, reaching out to your database, that's always, always, always a priority. People that already know and love you, right? That want to
Mhm.
support you, that are already in your corner, like those people, being in front of them, but you can also do it strategically. So, but then having fun at the same time. So,
I think that enthusiasm is what really shows too. So when you're working with clients, they see that you love what you're doing
yeah,
and they will naturally gravitate toward that. So then they want more of whatever it is that you're giving them.
yeah, for sure.
Is there anything that is on the horizon or next for you or that you want to bring in and do more of?
For sure, I'm trying to do more video. I had to take a little bit of a break from video. I have a YouTube channel that I've stopped and started over again, multiple times, just with different things of life. Like last year around this time, I was in the hospital delivering a
A
baby,
little
and
a
so
little busy?
it wasn't, I wasn't able to just go out and hit record and do that type of thing for my YouTube channel at that time. The good news is about video and about certain platforms, when it comes to video, is that a lot of time some of that content can stay on there and be continually working for you even when you're not putting anything out there. There are different ways and strategies that you can go about optimizing that. So that's going to be one of my goals for sure, is to try to get that. I had a little bit of a setback with an editor issue, but I've figured that part out, and so now I'm just trying to um, hit record more and kind of
Good.
get going on that. So, but yeah,
Good. So that kind of leads me to another question because this may be part of your answer. I always like to ask, what is the one thing that you either need to show up for or that you feel like is your favorite tool that always shows up for you? Is there one thing that you gravitate toward the most?
So the favorite tool that okay, well, I'll answer it kind of in two things. So my database and also my YouTube channel are two of my biggest sources of just people reaching out. So whether it's year before last, I was doing a couple of events because I do love to party plan. I do love to have people over and we just talk. So I was doing quite a few events in that regard. My biggest, I guess, fear around that type of lead gen is no one's going to show up. But nine times out of ten, we had a good handful of people and we all had a good time. But the so with my YouTube channel, that one in 2021, leading going into 2020, I was doing a video a week on YouTube, consistently putting out content. I had an editor, and my editor was even traveling with me in some instances to showcase different neighborhoods or different areas, and was really doing it on a high level. I was doing interviews with, I think one of my videos, I have the interview with the McKinney mayor, and then I have an interview with that at the time the mayor of Anna, and so that was really a big focal point to my lead generation. And I want to say over half of my business that year was from YouTube. So it really doubled my business
That's fabulous.
that year. Now, that was also during the time when, rates were really good. The market was tough
True.
from buyer's perspective. But I do know that once I get back to that channel, that it's going to be just fine. I mean, just to give an example of what I've done recently, I tested a short video out on the channel, a YouTube short, and I got a reach out automatically, like within a week of posting that short video. Well, why YouTube? Why not Facebook or Instagram? And there are other people that have success on those types of platforms, and kudos to them. I mean, I'm not taking a dig at anyone who's doing something like that, but I do feel like there's more pressure to put more content on those platforms because you have to be on there every single day. It's more of a grind. Now, YouTube is not easy. Just like you think one video a week, oh, that's so easy, right? Actually, no. There's a lot of steps that go into it. The thumbnail, the description, the title,
Mhm.
lots of things that kind of go into the video itself that you have to be aware of. Who you're talking to on the other side of the camera. It can't just be a generic, just everyone, buyers and sellers. That's not going to work, right? You have to have a specific person that you're talking to. They have to have specific needs. They have to have specific struggles. And you're over there advocating for them and trying to help them solve their problems with different tips or advice or things that you can give them. And there's a strategy to it all. But what I love, love, love about YouTube is the fact that it's going to work for me when I'm sleeping. That's, to me, like that's my golden ticket right there.
It is, yes. And then that's how part of what helps you to balance the work-life balance too, because you found some things that work for you in the background while you are asleep.
Right. Exactly. It's like another way to duplicate myself. It's just like on camera, and there are people in all different parts of the world and all different, areas of the United States and beyond that are looking for information, that are searching for helpful things.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's great. Is there anything that you feel like you are missing right now or that you wish you had known in the very beginning? Maybe some advice for that new agent.
I think probably organizing your database is probably a big thing that I think I wish I would have done a little bit sooner. I mean, and I had, just to kind of give you an example, I was coming from so many different walks of life. By the time I had gotten my license, I was I was friends with a lot of people. So trying to organize everything. So I had friends from church, I had friends from college, I had friends from high school, I had friends from work in multiple places, not just one school, but multiple schools.
Uh-huh.
So just that whole group of people.
Tagging people as to who or where you know them from.
And then also too, in addition to having children, the parents of the other children that you meet at the school, right? And starting relationships with teachers there and just all of that too. So, I mean, I had, thankfully, I had a really big database. I grew up in the area, so that also helped too. But even if you don't grow up in a certain area and you've moved or whatever, you can always, if you know a lot of people in a certain spot, referrals, referrals, referrals all day long, you can capitalize on any of your connections. So I think so I think the sooner that someone capitalizes on the connections that they have, the easier it's going to make that process. And then also just kind of getting out of your own way. I think as a teacher, I was wanting to know, I want to know everything before I could give advice to people on how to do something.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's a great thought. Great
That
point.
that bugged me so much. I mean, and even I think that, the laws have changed a little bit to where you have to have that mentor in place. But I think when
Mhm.
I got licensed 10 years ago, there wasn't any type of like formal mentor that you had to have to guide you. Now, obviously, there were people that I could go to ask questions, that type of thing. But just to even know how the process worked, right? So that I could set the expectation for, hey, like the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that you're qualified and sign this representation agreement so that I can represent you and we can continue to move forward down this path. And this is what this looks like. And this is what every line of the document says if someone asks me, right? So I think
Right.
just kind of getting out of my own way, if I'd, continued to just talk to people. And then, I mean, there were people there to guide me once I did start getting in the car and showing properties. And you learn a lot from that as well. You learn a lot from going to inspections. That's also another, um, inspections were also another hard thing to kind of understand what was going on, if especially if you don't have any prior knowledge of how things work around the house and what
Right.
causes this and that's a dryer vent and oh this is
Mhm.
this and what to kind of even look for or state on your repair amendment. So I think a lot of that can be very overwhelming to newer agents, and to just really focus on going, not really, I don't want to say after the business or after people, because it's not really about that. It's about continuing to make connections to the people that you know already today,
Mhm.
and really pressing the pedal down on that, and not worrying about everything else, because everything else will fall into place and it's going to be okay. I think that's what, if someone were to tell me that I would be able to take a little bit of a step back and a deep breath, and be able to just do more business and challenge myself more.
Uh, That's a great answer, and actually probably is the answer to my next question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway just in
Okay.
case.
Yeah.
Is there any final advice or final word that you would like to leave our audience with today?
I think just whatever you decide to do, whatever form of lead generation you try to go for or go after, just put your heart into it. And I think that you're
Mhm.
going to end up seeing the results from it.
That's great. Rebecca, this has been great. I'm glad that we got to share with your baby today too. So thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
This episode has been sponsored by Home Smart Stars. Agents, do you feel unseen, unheard? Maybe wish you had better commission? Maybe wish that you were welcomed and encouraged to just show up as you are and be your true authentic self, and have all the training and support and tools to help you thrive in your real estate career? If so, then you need to reach out to Home Smart Stars and make Home Smart Stars your home for real estate.